My daughter said proudly. My husband put her in her place so she'd finally shut up. Then my brother uncovered series of lies, dark secrets, and more. My daughter stood in my kitchen, smiling like she'd just won something, and said those words to me. Words I never thought I'd hear from a child I raised. My husband put her in her place so she'd finally shut up. She was talking about me, her own mother, and the way she said it. Proud. Like I was a problem that finally got solved. I want you to understand something before I go any further. I'm not the kind of mother who needs to be the center of attention. I never was. I raised my daughter, Maya, to be strong, independent, to think for herself. I worked 2 jobs to put her through college when her father walked out on us. I was there for every heartbreak, every triumph, every late-night phone call when the world felt too heavy. I loved that girl with everything in me. So when she met Derek 3 years ago, I was happy for her. He seemed nice enough at first, polite, ambitious, had a good job in finance. Maya was glowing, and that's all a mother wants to see, right? Her child happy. But there were little things, small things I noticed, but didn't say much about because I didn't want to be that mother, the one who can't let go, the one who sees problems where there aren't any. Like how Derek would answer for Maya sometimes when we'd all have dinner together. She'd start to tell me about her day, and he'd jump in, finishing her sentences, correcting small details that didn't even matter. No, babe, it was Thursday, not Wednesday. Things like that. And Maya would just stop talking. Smile. Let him take over, or how he'd make these little comments about her cooking, her clothes, her friends. Always wrapped up in a joke, always said with a laugh, but I could see something flicker across my daughter's face each time, something that looked like shame, just for a second, before she'd laugh along with him. I told myself I was reading too much into it. Maya was a grown woman. She could handle herself. I'd raised her to be strong. The wedding was beautiful. I cried like every mother does. Maya looked radiant in her dress, and when she said her vows, her voice was clear and confident. I thought maybe I'd been wrong about Derek. Maybe those little things were just adjustments, the way any 2 people learn to fit together. But after the wedding, things changed. Maya started calling me less. When she did call, the conversations were shorter, surface level. "How's the weather, Mom?" "Work is fine. Derek says hi." That kind of thing. No more late-night talks about her dreams, her fears, the books she was reading, the documentaries that made her think. It was like talking to a stranger who was doing an impression of my daughter. I'd invite them over for Sunday dinner, something we'd done every week before the wedding. But there was always a reason they couldn't come. Derek had work. They had plans with his family. They were tired, busy. Next time, Mom. 6 months after the wedding, I finally got them to come over. I made all of Maya's favorites. My grandmother's mac and cheese, the fried chicken she used to beg me to make, peach cobbler from scratch. I was excited. I missed my daughter. They arrived an hour late. Derek walked in first, Maya trailing behind him. That's when I really saw it. The way she moved. Careful. Like she was thinking about every step, every word before it left her mouth. She'd lost weight, not in a healthy way, in a way that made her cheekbones too sharp, her eyes too big in her face. "Sorry we're late," Derek said, not sounding sorry at all. "Maya took forever getting ready. You know how women are." He laughed. I didn't. Maya sat down at my table, and I watched her all through dinner. The way she'd glance at Derek before answering any question I asked her. The way she barely ate, just pushed food around her plate. The way she flinched, just slightly, when Derek reached across her to grab the salt. After dinner, I asked Maya to help me in the kitchen, just the 2 of us. She started loading the dishwasher, and I stood next to her, washing the serving dishes by hand. "Baby," I said softly, "are you okay?" She didn't look at me. "I'm fine, Mom." "You don't seem fine, you seem—" I said I'm fine. Her voice had an edge to it I'd never heard before. Sharp, defensive. I tried a different approach. I just miss you. I feel like I never see you anymore, like you're pulling away from me. That's when she stopped loading dishes and turned to face me. And her eyes... Lord, her eyes were so tired. Mom, I'm not pulling away. I'm married now. I have my own life, my own family. You have to accept that things are different. I know things are different, sweetheart. But different doesn't mean we can't still be close. Doesn't mean we can't still talk like we used to. She sighed, and I could see her shoulders tense up. Derek says you're too involved. He says I need to set boundaries with you. The words hit me like cold water. Boundaries? Maya, I barely see you anymore. What boundaries could you possibly need to set? See, this is exactly what he's talking about. Her voice got louder now, frustrated. You don't respect my marriage. You don't respect my husband. Everything has to be on your terms, the way you want it. I felt something crack in my chest. Baby, that's not true. I just want to know you're happy, that you're okay. I am okay. Why can't you just believe me? Derek appeared in the doorway. I don't know how long he'd been standing there. Everything all right in here? His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it, a warning. Maya's entire demeanor changed. She softened, shrank almost. Everything's fine. We were just talking. Sounded like more than talking. He moved behind Maya, put his hand on her shoulder. She went still. Your mom giving you a hard time again? Derek, I'm not... I started. You know, Mrs. Johnson, he interrupted me, Maya's told me how hard it is for you. Being alone, not having a husband anymore. I get it. You're used to Maya being your whole world, but she's my wife now, my family, and you need to respect that. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The disrespect in his tone, the way he was speaking to me in my own home, the way my daughter was just standing there letting him. Maya, I said, ignoring him completely. Is this really how you want things to be? She didn't answer me. She looked at Derek like she was asking permission. He gave her a small nod. Mom, she said quietly, maybe it's better if we don't do these dinners for a while. Just until things settle. They left 10 minutes later. I stood in my empty house, surrounded by uneaten food I'd spent all day cooking, and cried for the first time in years. Not little tears, deep, body-shaking sobs. Because I knew my daughter was in trouble, and I didn't know how to reach her. The months that followed were worse. Maya stopped answering my calls altogether. I'd leave voicemails, send texts, nothing. Radio silence. I started calling her job just to make sure she was still going to work, still existing in the world. Her assistant would always say the same thing. Mrs. Johnson is in a meeting. I'll have her call you back. She never did. I reached out to her friends, the girls she'd known since college. They told me they hadn't seen her either. Derek didn't like them, apparently. Thought they were bad influences. So Maya had cut them off, one by one, until she was completely isolated. I drove by their house a few times, a nice 2-story in a quiet neighborhood. Derek's car was always in the driveway. I never saw Maya outside, never saw her coming or going. It was like she disappeared. I started having nightmares. Dreams where I'd hear Maya calling for me, but I couldn't find her. I'd wake up in the middle of the night with my heart racing, reaching for my phone, hoping for a message that never came. My brother Marcus noticed. He lives 2 hours away and we talk every Sunday morning, have for years. One Sunday, about 8 months after that disastrous dinner, he asked me straight out, Stephanie, what's going on with you? You sound like death warmed over. I broke down and told him everything. About Derek, about how Maya had changed, about the silence. He listened without interrupting, the way he always does. Marcus is a criminal defense attorney, been practicing for 25 years. He knows people, knows patterns, knows when something's not right. When I finished, there was a long pause. Then he said, Steph, everything you're describing, those are classic signs of an abusive relationship. isolation, control, making the victim defend the abuser to their own family. "But Maya's so strong," I whispered. "I raised her to be strong." "Strength doesn't make you immune, sister. These men, they're experts. They don't start with hitting. They start with little comments, little criticisms. They chip away at your confidence so slowly you don't even notice it's happening until you're completely dependent on them for your sense of reality." His words settled over me like a heavy blanket, because deep down, I'd known. I'd known from those first dinners, those first little comments, but I'd wanted to believe my daughter was okay, that I'd raised her well enough that she'd be okay. "What do I do?" I asked him. "Document everything. Every attempt to contact her, every concerning thing you've noticed. Keep a record, because if things are as bad as they sound, there may come a time when Maya needs evidence, needs proof that she wasn't crazy, that someone else saw what was happening." So that's what I did. I started a journal, wrote down every text I sent, every call that went unanswered, every memory of the ways Derek had spoken to Maya, controlled her, diminished her. I kept it all in a notebook I hid in my bedroom, hoping I'd never need it. Then, 2 months ago, Maya called me out of the blue. My phone rang at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, and her name flashed across the screen. I almost didn't believe it. "Mom?" Her voice sounded strange, high-pitched, too cheerful. "Maya, baby, I've been so worried. I'm sorry I haven't called. Things have just been so busy, but I wanted to invite you to brunch this Sunday. Derek's family will be there too. His parents are in town." Something about the invitation felt wrong, forced, like she was reading from a script. "Of course, sweetheart, I'd love to come. Can we talk for a minute? I've missed hearing your voice." "I can't talk now, Mom. I'm at work." "I'll text you the details. Love you." She hung up before I could respond. Sunday came, and I drove to the restaurant with a knot in my stomach. It was one of those expensive brunch places where everything on the menu costs $30 and comes with edible flowers. Not my kind of place. But I didn't care. I was going to see my daughter. I spotted them at a large table by the window. Derek's parents, his sister Derek, and Maya. She was wearing a turtleneck even though it was 75 degrees outside. Her makeup was heavier than I'd ever seen her wear it. When she saw me, she smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Mom, you made it!" She stood up and hugged me, and I felt how thin she'd gotten. I could feel her ribs through her sweater. Derek stood too, shook my hand like we were business associates. "Mrs. Johnson." "Good to see you." "Stephanie, this is Derek's mother, Patricia, and his father, William," Maya said, gesturing to an older couple who looked like they'd stepped out of a country club magazine. We all sat down, and the meal was exactly as uncomfortable as I'd feared. Patricia dominated the conversation, talking about their recent cruise, their summer home in the Hamptons, the charity galas they attended. Derek's father barely said 2 words. And Maya just sat there, smiling and nodding, contributing nothing. Every time I tried to talk to her directly, Derek would interject. "How's work, Maya?" I'd ask, and Derek would answer, "She's doing great, just got assigned to a major account. I'm very proud of her." Like she wasn't sitting right there, capable of speaking for herself. At one point, Patricia looked at Maya and said, "Derek tells us you've gained some weight, dear. You know, I have the name of an excellent nutritionist if you need it." I watched my daughter's face crumble, just for a second, before she forced another smile. "Thank you, Patricia. That's very thoughtful." I couldn't stay quiet. "Maya looks beautiful. She's always been beautiful." Patricia's eyes turned cold. "Well, of course she is. We're just trying to help her be her best self. Derek has certain standards, and Maya understands that." Derek put his hand over Maya's on the table. It looked affectionate, but I saw his fingers tighten, saw Maya wince ever so slightly. "My wife knows I only want what's best for her," Derek said, his voice smooth as silk. "Right, baby?" "Right," Maya whispered. After brunch, in the parking lot, I managed to catch Maya alone for 30 seconds while Derek was saying goodbye to his parents. "Maya, please talk to me. Please tell me what's really going on." She looked at me, and for just a moment, I saw my real daughter. Scared, exhausted, desperate. Her mouth opened like she wanted to say something. Then Derek called out, "Babe, you coming?" And just like that, the moment was gone. The mask went back on. "I have to go, Mom. I'll call you soon." But she didn't call. Weeks went by. Nothing. Until 3 days ago. I was at work teaching my afternoon art class at the community center when my phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "Coming over tonight. Need to talk to you about something. Derek's coming too." My heart jumped. Finally. Maybe she was ready to talk. Maybe she was ready to leave him. I texted back immediately. "What time?" "I'll make dinner." 7 p.m. Don't make dinner. This won't take long. That should have been my first warning, the coldness in her message. But I was too hopeful to see it. They arrived at exactly 7 o'clock. Derek walked in first, Maya behind him. They didn't hug me, didn't take off their coats, just stood in my living room like they were about to deliver bad news. "Mom," Maya said, her voice flat, "we need to talk about boundaries." And that's when my daughter, my only child, the girl I'd sacrificed everything for, stood in my living room and told me I was the problem, that I was too controlling, too overbearing, too unwilling to let her grow up and have her own life. "Derek's been helping me see things more clearly," she said, and I watched him standing beside her, his hand on the small of her back, a satisfied smile playing at the corners of his mouth. "I've been in therapy." "Therapy?" I interrupted. "Maya, since when are you in therapy?" "Since Derek suggested it, and my therapist agrees that I need to establish firmer boundaries with you." "What therapist? Can I have their name?" Derek stepped forward. "Mrs. Johnson, I don't think you're in a position to interrogate your daughter about her mental health care." "I'm not interrogating. I'm her mother. I'm concerned." "You're always concerned," Maya snapped. "That's the problem. You don't trust me to live my own life. You don't respect my marriage. You make everything about you." Each word was like a blade. I could see Derek coaching her in my mind, feeding her these lines, turning my love into something ugly. "Maya, baby, please. This isn't you talking. This is me, Mom. This is finally me, setting boundaries and taking care of myself. And if you can't respect that, then maybe we need some space, real space." I looked at Derek. He was staring at me with pure triumph in his eyes. This was what he wanted, to cut Maya off from me completely, to make me the villain in our story. "How much space?" I asked quietly. Maya glanced at Derek. He gave her the smallest nod. "We think it's best if we don't have contact for a while. No calls, no texts, no showing up at my job or my house. Just space." The room started spinning. "You're cutting me out of your life?" "I'm taking care of myself," she said, but her voice shook. Somewhere under all that rehearsed dialogue, my real daughter was still there, screaming. They left 3 minutes later. I stood in my empty house, in the silence they left behind, and something inside me shifted. The heartbreak was still there. The grief was still there. But underneath it, something else was rising, something stronger. Because here's what Derek didn't understand, what he couldn't understand. I'd raised my daughter alone after her father walked away. I'd worked 2 jobs while going to night school to get my teaching degree. I'd survived poverty, racism, sexism, every obstacle life could throw at a black woman in America. I'd been knocked down more times than I could count, and I'd gotten up every single time. Derek thought he could break me by taking my daughter away, thought he could silence me with her rehearsed words and manufactured boundaries. He thought he'd won, but he hadn't met my brother Marcus yet, and he had no idea what was about to happen next. If you've ever felt like someone was controlling the person you love, stealing them away piece by piece, drop a broken heart emoji in the comments. And if you want to know what my brother did when he heard about that visit, what justice looked like when it finally came, I need you to hit that like button and subscribe, because what you're about to discover, I also didn't see it coming. And if you've been through something similar, if you've watched someone you love disappear into a relationship that was hurting them, share your story below. You're not alone. None of us are alone. I called Marcus the moment they left. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. He answered on the first ring, like he'd been waiting. "He did it," I said, my voice breaking. He got her to cut me off completely. "Tell me everything." So I did. Every word Maya had said, standing in my living room like a stranger. Every coached phrase, every rehearsed line about boundaries and therapy and taking care of herself. And that look in Derek's eyes, that satisfaction. When I finished, Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that made my spine straighten. "Stephanie, I need you to listen to me very carefully. This is about to get worse before it gets better. Men like Derek don't stop at isolation. That's just the foundation. What comes next?" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. "What do I do?" I whispered. "You do exactly what he told you to do. Nothing. No calls, no texts, no contact. But you document everything, every single thing, and you let me handle this my way." Marcus, I can't just sit here while... Yes, you can, and you will. Because if you push now, you'll give him exactly what he needs to paint you as the unstable, controlling mother. You'll give him ammunition to isolate Maya even more completely. So you wait. You trust me. Can you do that? I closed my eyes, breathed. I can do that. Good. Now tell me everything you know about Derek, where he works, who his friends are, what he does with his time. Everything. I told him. Derek worked at Morrison Financial Group, some big investment firm downtown. He played golf on Saturdays with colleagues. He went to his parents' house every Sunday for dinner. He drove a black Mercedes, license plate I'd memorized from all those times I'd driven past their house. Marcus made me repeat it all twice while he took notes. Then he said, "One more thing. That journal you've been keeping. I need you to scan every page and email it to me tonight. Every single page." "Why? What are you going to do?" "My job, little sister. My job." That was 3 days ago. I haven't heard from Maya since. Haven't tried to contact her either, as hard as that's been. But I've been documenting everything, like Marcus said. The silence itself is a form of evidence. The sudden, complete cutoff from a daughter who used to call me every day. What I didn't know was what Marcus was doing. I found out yesterday morning. I was having coffee in my kitchen when my phone rang. Marcus's name flashed across the screen. "I need you to sit down," he said. My heart dropped. "Is Maya okay? Did something happen?" "Maya's fine, but I found something. Actually, I found a lot of somethings." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've spent the last 3 days doing what I do best. Research, investigation, following trails. And Derek Thompson isn't who he says he is." I sat down at my kitchen table, my coffee forgotten. "What are you talking about?" "You remember Maya said he worked in finance? Morrison Financial Group?" "Yes." "He does work there, but not in the position he told Maya. He's not a senior investment analyst like he claimed. He's in client services. Basically a glorified customer service rep. Makes about $60,000 a year, not the 6 figures he implied." My mind was spinning. He lied about his job? That's just the beginning. That Mercedes he drives? Leased? The nice house they're living in? Also, Derek's name isn't even on the lease. It's in Maya's name. She's the one paying the mortgage. Her salary, her credit, her money. Derek's been living off her from the start. I felt sick. Oh my God. It gets better. I did some deeper digging. Called in a few favors from some investigator friends. Derek Thompson has been married before. Twice, actually. The room tilted. What? First marriage ended 8 years ago. Wife's name was Jennifer. I managed to track her down, called her yesterday. Stephanie, she told me a story that's going to make your blood run cold. I couldn't speak. just held the phone and waited. Derek did the same thing to her, started with little comments, little criticisms, isolated her from her family and friends, convinced her they were the problem, that he was the only one who really understood her. Then he quit his job, said he was starting a business, never did. Just lived off her income for 2 years while he drained her bank accounts, ran up credit cards in her name. By the time she woke up and left him, she was $40,000 in debt and hadn't spoken to her family in 3 years. My hand was over my mouth. And the second wife? Sarah. Marriage lasted 18 months. Same pattern. Isolation, financial control, emotional abuse. But Sarah got out faster because Jennifer had warned her. Jennifer actually found Sarah on social media after she saw Derek's wedding announcement and tried to warn her. Sarah didn't believe her at first, thought Jennifer was just a bitter ex. But 6 months in, she started seeing the same patterns. She left before it got as bad as it did with Jennifer. Does Maya know? Did he tell her he was married before? According to what Jennifer told me, Derek has a whole story prepared. He tells people his ex-wife was crazy, that she made false accusations, that she's the reason he's hesitant to trust. Classic manipulation. Turns himself into the victim of his previous victims. I stood up, started pacing my kitchen. We have to tell Maya. She has to know. Steph, if we tell her now, Derek will spin it. He'll say we're making it up, that we're so desperate to break them up that we're inventing stories. Maya won't believe us. She'll believe him. That's how this works. Then what do? We gather evidence, real, undeniable evidence, and we wait for the right moment, because that moment is coming. How do you know? Because men like Derek always escalate. Always. The isolation was step 1. The financial control is step 2. Step 3 is coming, and when it does, Maya's going to need us ready with proof that she's not crazy, that this has happened before, that she's not the first woman he's destroyed. My brother's words settled over me like a weight. I hate this. I hate waiting. I hate knowing she's with him right now and I can't do anything. I know, but we're building a case, and I'm not done yet. What else are you doing? I've reached out to both Jennifer and Sarah. They've agreed to write statements about their experiences with Derek. Detailed statements. I'm also looking into his finances. If he's doing to Maya what he did to Jennifer, there will be a paper trail. Credit cards, loans, unexplained expenses. And I'm going to find it. Marcus, you're a criminal defense attorney. This isn't even your area. No, he said quietly. This is family, and there's no area of law I won't learn. No stone I won't turn over to protect my niece. I started crying then, couldn't help it, because I'd felt so alone, so powerless. And here was my brother, doing what I couldn't do, fighting in ways I didn't know how to fight. Thank you, I whispered. Don't thank me yet. We've got a long way to go. We hung up, and I sat in my kitchen for a long time, thinking about what Marcus had found, about Jennifer and Sarah, about the pattern of Derek's destruction, about my daughter living with a man who'd done this before and would do it again. That's when I made a decision. Marcus said to wait, to do nothing. But there was one thing I could do. One thing Derek couldn't control. I got in my car and drove to Maya's workplace. I know what you're thinking, that I was breaking the rules, crossing boundaries, doing exactly what Marcus told me not to do. But I wasn't going there to confront Maya. I was going there to watch, to see if she was okay, to see her with my own eyes, even if it was from a distance. I parked across the street from her office building and waited. It was almost noon. People were streaming out for lunch. I watched the doors, searching for my daughter's face in the crowd, and then I saw her. She was walking out with 2 other women, probably colleagues, but she wasn't talking. The other women were laughing, chatting, animated. Maya was just there, present but absent. She was wearing long sleeves again, even though it was 80 degrees outside. Her hair was pulled back tight in a bun. No makeup that I could see. She looked exhausted. The other women stopped at a food truck on the corner. Maya stood to the side, checking her phone. She looked at it for a long time, her face tight with anxiety. Then she typed something, waited, typed again. Every few seconds she'd glance around, like she was afraid someone might see her. One of her colleagues said something to her, gestured to the food truck. Maya shook her head, said something brief, and walked away, back toward the building, alone. I sat in my car and watched her disappear through the revolving doors, and I knew something had just happened, something on that phone, something that made her too anxious to even eat lunch with coworkers. I drove home and called Marcus immediately. I know you told me not to, but I went to Maya's office just to see her. Marcus, something's wrong. She got a text or a call or something, and she looked terrified. She left her friends and went back inside. Marcus was quiet for a moment. What time was this? Noon, maybe 12:15. Hold on. I heard typing on his end. Derek checked into the Morrison building at noon exactly. I've got a contact who can access the building's security logs. You're tracking him? I told you, Steph. I'm building a case. That means knowing where he is, what he's doing, finding patterns. More typing. He left at 12:40. Want to bet that phone call Maya got was from him, checking in on her, making sure she wasn't having too much fun without him? The pieces were starting to fit together. The control, the monitoring, the isolation. It wasn't just about keeping Maya away from me. It was about keeping her afraid, keeping her under his thumb every second of every day. This is going to break her, I said quietly. When she finally sees what he is, what he's been doing, it's going to destroy her. No, Marcus said firmly. It's going to free her. But she has to see it herself. We can give her the tools, the evidence, the support, but the decision to leave has to be hers, and it will be. These things always crack eventually. How long did it take Jennifer? And Sarah? Jennifer took 2 years. Sarah took 6 months. But they both left. They both survived. And Maya will too. We just have to be ready when the moment comes. 2 days passed. I went to work, taught my classes, came home, kept documenting, kept waiting, kept hoping my phone would ring and it would be Maya, calling to tell me she'd realized, she'd seen, she was leaving. But the call that came wasn't from Maya. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. Hello? Mrs. Johnson? A woman's voice, young, shaking. Yes. Who is this? My name is Rachel. I work with Maya. I got your number from the emergency contact list in her file. I probably shouldn't be calling you, but I'm worried about her. My heart started racing. What happened? Is she okay? I don't know. She came into work today and she was different. She had bruises on her wrist, like fingerprints. She tried to hide them, kept pulling her sleeves down, but I saw them. And when I asked her if she was okay, she started crying. Just broke down crying in the bathroom. I closed my eyes, felt my whole body go cold. Did she say what happened? No, she wouldn't talk about it. But Mrs. Johnson, I've been working with Maya for 2 years. She's always been so confident, so capable. And lately, she's like a ghost of herself. Everyone's noticed. We've tried to talk to her, but she just says she's fine, everything's fine. But today, with those bruises, it's not fine. Something's really wrong. Rachel, thank you for calling me. I can't... My voice broke. I can't tell you how much this means, but I need you to do something for me. I need you to keep an eye on her. If you see anything else, anything at all, please call me. Can you do that? Yes, of course. We all love Maya. We just want her to be okay. We hung up and I immediately called Marcus. It's happening, I said. He's escalating. A coworker called me. Maya came to work with bruises, fingerprints on her wrist. Marcus cursed, something he rarely does. We need to move faster. I'm going to reach out to Jennifer again, see if physical abuse was part of her experience with Derek. If it was, if there's a pattern of violence, that changes everything. What can I do? Stay ready. The moment Maya reaches out, The moment she asks for help, we need to be able to move immediately. Do you have space for her at your house? Of course. Good. I'm going to draw up paperwork, restraining order template, divorce filing template, financial records request. When she's ready to leave, we need to make sure she can do it safely and quickly. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about my daughter with bruises on her wrist, thinking about how he'd finally shown his true self, how the mask had slipped. And I thought about something my grandmother used to say, "Baby, sometimes the Lord has to let things get dark before he can show you the light. Sometimes you have to be broken before you can be remade into something stronger." Maya was in the dark now, but the light was coming. Marcus and I were going to make sure of it. My phone buzzed at 2 a.m, a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Mom, it's me, using a coworker's phone. Can't talk. He checks mine. But I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. You were right. You were always right. I don't know what to do." I sat up in bed, my hands shaking as I typed back. "Baby, I'm here. I'm always here. You're not alone. When you're ready, we'll get you out. Just say the word." The 3 dots appeared, showing she was typing. Then they disappeared, then appeared again. Not yet. He'll know. He always knows. But soon, I promise. Soon. "I love you, Maya, more than anything in this world." "I love you too, Mom." The dots disappeared and didn't come back. I forwarded the screenshot to Marcus immediately. He responded within minutes. "This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. She's waking up. Now we prepare for extraction. I'll call you in the morning." I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Just sat in my bed with my phone in my hand, waiting, ready. Because my daughter had reached out through the darkness, and Marcus and I were about to pull her back into the light. But what happened next? What Derek did when he realized he was losing control? What my brother had planned that would finally expose Derek for exactly what he was? That's a story that deserves its own telling. If you felt your heart stop when you read about those bruises, if you wanted to reach through the screen and pull Maya to safety yourself, drop A in the comments. This is where it gets real. This is where the rescue happens. But you need to hear the next part to know how we did it, what Marcus planned, and what happened the night we finally got Maya out. Marcus called me at 6 a.m, 4 days after Maya's text. His voice was sharp, focused, the voice he uses in courtrooms. "Today's the day. Derek's going on a business trip. Leaves at noon, flight to Chicago, back tomorrow night. Maya just texted her coworker Rachel asking if she could come over after work. She's making her move." My hands started shaking. "How do you know about the trip?" "I've been monitoring his email for 3 days. Don't ask me how. Just know that we have a 12-hour window to get Maya out safely. And I'm driving up now. Be at your house in 90 minutes. What do I need to do? Have space ready for her. Pack a bag with essentials in case she doesn't have time to pack. And Stephanie, stay calm. Maya's going to be scared, traumatized, possibly hurt. She needs to see strength from us, not panic." He hung up. I moved through my house like I was preparing for surgery, made up the guest room with fresh sheets, put out clean towels, filled the bathroom with toiletries, made a bag with clothes in Maya's size, shoes, a jacket, called my principal and took a personal day. Marcus arrived at 7:30 with 2 other people, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes and a man carrying a leather briefcase. "This is Jennifer," Marcus said, gesturing to the woman, Derek's first wife. "And this is David Chen, a family law attorney who specializes in emergency protective orders." Jennifer reached out and took my hand. "Your daughter is so lucky to have you. I wish I'd had someone fighting for me like this." "How did you—" "Your brother found me, told me what was happening. I got on a plane last night. If my story can help Maya leave faster, understand she's not crazy, that this wasn't her fault, then I'm here." David opened his briefcase, pulled out documents. "I've prepared everything we need: restraining order, emergency custody of financial accounts, divorce filing papers. The moment Maya says she wants to leave, we can have her legally protected within hours." We sat in my living room, waiting, planning. Jennifer told me things that made my stomach turn. How Derek had choked her once, just enough to scare her, but not enough to leave marks. How he'd destroyed her phone when he found her texting a friend. How he'd convinced her entire family that she was having a mental breakdown, that she needed to be committed. But the worst part, Jennifer said quietly, wasn't the physical stuff. It was how he made me doubt my own mind. He'd say things and then deny he ever said them. Hide my keys and then act like I was going crazy for losing them. By the end, I didn't trust my own memory. I thought I really was losing my mind. Gaslighting, David said. Classic technique. Makes the victim dependent on the abuser for their sense of reality. At 3:15, my phone rang. Rachel. Mrs. Johnson, Maya just left work early. She told her boss she's sick. She's in her car now. I think she's coming to you. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for everything. 20 minutes later, I heard a car in my driveway. I looked out the window and saw Maya's Honda. She sat in the driver's seat for a full minute, not moving. Then slowly, like every movement hurt, she got out. I opened my door before she could knock. She stood on my porch, and I barely recognized her. She'd lost at least 20 pounds. Her hair was dull, pulled back. She was wearing long sleeves and sunglasses even though the sun was going down. And when she took those sunglasses off, I saw the purple shadow under her left eye that makeup couldn't quite hide. "Mom," she whispered, "I need help." I pulled her into my arms, and she collapsed. Just completely broke down, sobbing against my shoulder like she was 5 years old again and had fallen and scraped her knee. Except this wasn't a scraped knee. This was a shattered soul. "I've got you, baby. You're safe now. You're home." I brought her inside. She stopped when she saw Marcus, Jennifer, and David standing in my living room. "Uncle Marcus." Her voice was small, confused. "Hey, baby girl." He moved toward her slowly, careful, like she was a frightened animal. "We're here to help. All of us." "Who?" She looked at Jennifer. Jennifer stepped forward. "My name is Jennifer. I was married to Derek 8 years ago, and I'm here to tell you that everything you're feeling, everything you think is your fault, everything he told you was wrong with you, none of it is true. It was never you. It was always him." Maya's face crumbled. "He told me you were crazy, that you made false accusations." "I know he did. That's what he does. But I'm not crazy, and neither are you. You're a survivor, and you're about to become free." We sat Maya down, made her tea, let her cry, and then slowly she started talking. She told us everything. How Derek had started criticizing her within weeks of the wedding, how he'd convinced her to put everything in her name because his credit was temporarily bad, how he'd quit his job 6 months ago, said he was starting a consulting business but really just stayed home all day monitoring her phone, her emails, her location, how 2 weeks ago she'd gotten coffee with a male colleague from work, completely innocent, just talking about a project. Derek had been tracking her phone. When she got home, he'd grabbed her wrist so hard she thought he'd broken it. Told her if she ever disrespected him like that again, it would be worse. "I knew then," she said, her voice hollow. "I knew I had to leave, but I was so scared. I didn't know how. Didn't know where to go. Thought maybe I deserved it because I'd pushed him, because I was never good enough." "Stop." Marcus's voice was firm but gentle. "That's his voice in your head, not yours. We're going to get that voice out, but first we're going to get you safe." David pulled out his documents, explained everything calmly, clearly. Maya signed papers with shaking hands, restraining order, divorce filing, emergency freeze on their joint accounts. By 6 o'clock, she was legally protected. "Derek lands at 9 tonight," Marcus said. "By the time he gets home, there will be a police officer waiting to serve him with the restraining order and escort him out of the house. Maya, you'll have 24 hours to get your things with police supervision. We've also documented everything with the police, the bruises, the financial abuse, Jennifer's testimony about the pattern. He's not going to be able to spin this." Maya looked at me. "What if he comes here?" Then he gets arrested, Marcus said simply. The restraining order is ironclad. He comes within 500 feet of you, your mother, or your workplace. He goes to jail. And his job? Maya asked. Morrison Financial Group? David smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. I have a friend on their board. Derek's employee file is about to receive copies of the restraining order, police reports, and testimony from 2 ex-wives about his pattern of abuse. Companies don't like liability. I'd be surprised if he's still employed by Monday. I watched something shift in my daughter's face. The fear was still there, the trauma. But underneath it, something else was growing, something that looked like strength. He always said I couldn't survive without him, Maya said quietly, that I needed him. No, baby, I told her, he needed you. Your money, your credibility, your light. But you're going to be just fine. Better than fine. You're going to remember who you were before he tried to dim you. Jennifer sat beside Maya, took her hand. It's going to be hard. Some days you'll doubt yourself. Some days you'll miss him, even though you know you shouldn't. That's normal. That's trauma. But every day, it gets a little easier. Every day you take back a little more of yourself. And one day you'll wake up and realize he has no power over you anymore. That day is coming. I promise. Maya stayed with me that night. We didn't sleep much, just talked, cried. Started the long process of healing. Marcus slept on my couch, ready in case Derek tried anything stupid. He didn't. The police served the papers at 9:45. By 10, Derek was out of the house, and Maya's coworker, Rachel, had already texted that gossip was spreading at Morrison Financial. By Monday morning, Derek was fired. 6 months later, Maya moved into her own apartment. Went back to therapy, real therapy with a counselor specializing in domestic abuse, started rebuilding friendships she'd lost, started smiling again, real smiles that reached her eyes. And me? I got my daughter back. Not the same as before. She's different now, stronger in some ways, scarred in others. But she's free. She's alive. She's mine again. Derek tried to fight the divorce. Tried to claim he deserved alimony, that Maya had abused him. But with Jennifer's testimony, Sarah's testimony, Marcus found her too, the police reports, the financial records showing he'd lived off Maya's income, the paper trail of his lies, he had nothing. The divorce was final in 8 months. He walked away with nothing, just like he deserved. Last week, Maya came over for Sunday dinner. Just the 2 of us. We made my grandmother's mac and cheese together, laughing in my kitchen. And when she hugged me goodbye, she whispered, "Thank you for never giving up on me, even when I pushed you away." "Baby," I told her, "I will never, ever give up on you. That's what mothers do. We fight, even when our children can't fight for themselves." That's my story. That's how my daughter came home, how my brother saved her, how we all saved each other. If this story touched your soul, if you understand now why we never give up on the people we love, drop A in the comments. Subscribe to Folk Tales by Steph for more stories of betrayal, survival, and justice. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Share it with someone who's still fighting. Share it with someone who got free. Because stories like this, they remind us we're not alone. They remind us we can survive. They remind us that love, real love, never gives up. Drop a comment telling me, what would you have done? How far would you go to save someone you love? I'm Steph, and I'll see you in the next story. Until then, remember, you are stronger than anyone who ever tried to break you.